All right, so we're diving deep today into a sermon, and
Okay.
it's not your typical Sunday sermon. I
Oh.
mean, just the title alone, Don't Come to Church.
Hmm.
It definitely caught my attention.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, and it kind of lives up to the hype.
Oh, really?
It really digs deep into what it means to be a Christian,
Mm.
and it really challenges those assumptions,
Okay.
about just like showing up
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of checking those boxes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts off with this whole list of don'ts.
Hmm.
And honestly, I was kind of thrown for a loop.
Yeah, like what do you mean don't come to church?
Yeah. I'm supposed to stay away from church.
Right.
Like, huh?
Yeah, it's like opposite of what you think you're supposed to do.
Exactly. It's like a total paradigm shift.
Uh-huh.
But the point is so powerful. It's
Yeah.
saying if you're just squeezing church in between like brunch and soccer practice,
Right.
or you're only giving your leftover time and money
Oh.
just because you feel obligated,
Yeah.
maybe take a step back and check your heart.
So it's more about the intention
Yeah.
than it is just like being there.
Yeah. So it's not saying like ditch church altogether,
Right.
but it's saying like don't just show up physically.
Yeah.
Be all in.
Be fully present. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And, it even argues
Yeah.
that even like seemingly good deeds
Uh-huh.
can be driven by ego.
Yeah. I think we've all been there.
If we're just seeking recognition rather than truly serving with humility.
Oh, that's good.
And, there's that passage from Matthew.
Okay.
We always get caught up in like what we're owed,
Mm-hmm.
but it totally flips the script on that.
Okay.
It's like, what can I give?
Yeah, what can I offer?
That's a pretty radical statement.
It is.
Is it even possible to always show up with your whole heart?
That's a great question.
And like, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And the sermon doesn't shy away from that complexity. It's more about the intention, the continual striving for that genuine connection.
Okay.
It's about asking ourselves, am I giving my best or just my leftovers?
I have to admit,
Yeah.
there are times when I've definitely felt that pressure
Uh-huh.
to participate, even when my heart wasn't fully in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ugh, I should be volunteering more.
Right.
But maybe this is a permission slip to
Yeah.
be more honest about where I'm at.
Absolutely. And that honesty is really the foundation
Yeah.
for this next big theme,
Oh,
servant leadership.
okay.
And it dives deep into the difference between worldly leadership,
Mm-hmm.
which often focuses on power and climbing the ladder,
Okay.
and then the Christian ideal, which flips the script entirely.
So this idea of genuine commitment,
Yeah,
it really ties into how the sermon redefines leadership, right?
right.
And there's that story about the church elder election.
Okay.
That really drives the point home.
Oh, yeah, the two candidates?
Yes.
Okay.
Two candidates lose the election.
Uh-huh.
One is bitter,
Okay.
resentful, feeling like they got robbed,
Yeah.
and the other responds with humility,
Okay.
acknowledging their own shortcomings
Mm-hmm.
and pledging to continue serving faithfully.
Right.
It's a stark contrast
Yeah, definitely.
in how we handle disappointment,
Right.
It makes you think,
For sure.
are we leading with a spirit of service,
Mm-hmm.
or are we more focused on personal gain?
That's a good question.
Not just in church, but
Right.
in our jobs, families,
In our everyday lives.
everything.
Yeah,
It's a question worth pondering.
absolutely.
And what's fascinating is the sermon suggests that this approach to leadership
Mm-hmm.
is actually the path to true fulfillment,
Okay.
not just some moral obligation.
That's interesting.
It argues that finding joy in serving others
Mm-hmm.
actually leads to a deeper sense of purpose.
That makes sense.
I get the servant leadership thing,
Yeah.
but isn't there a danger in being a doormat?
Oh, that's a good point.
Where's the line between serving
Mm.
and being taken advantage of?
Right, right.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And something the sermon touches on as well.
Okay.
It emphasizes discernment,
Mm.
knowing when to step up and when to step back.
Right. Yeah.
It's not about being passive,
Yeah.
but about using our gifts and talents to genuinely help others.
I like that.
This is all getting me to think about what good leadership even looks like in my own life.
Yeah.
Like, am I leading with integrity,
Mm-hmm.
compassion,
Yeah.
a genuine desire to make things better?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a journey, not a destination, right? And speaking of journeys, this whole conversation about leadership really ties into the sermon's big picture message about what it actually means to be a Christian.
Okay. Yeah. Bring this home for me, because so far we've got don't just show up, be all in, and lead with the servant's heart, which is a lot to unpack already.
Right, but the sermon goes even deeper, saying it's not about outward appearances or holding a fancy title in the church. It's about an internal transformation that gets our hearts and actions aligned with what Jesus actually taught.
So it's less about wearing the Christian label on the outside and more about like becoming a Christian on the inside. But what does that even mean?
It's about embodying the values, right? Not just saying you believe, but actually living it out. The sermon talks about honesty, avoiding jealousy, practicing love. These are all things we can do to reflect that transformed heart.
You know, this part about judging our true worth at the end of life, that's kind of scary. How do we even begin to process that?
It's definitely a sobering thought. The sermon uses this powerful image of someone writing your life story. What would that story say about you? What kind of legacy are you building? It challenges you to examine your choices and actions.
That hits differently than just be a good person. It's asking, what kind of good are you being?
Exactly, and this ties back to the idea of rejecting empty gestures. It feels so relevant today with all the performative Christianity we see on social media. It's easy to get caught up in looking good instead of actually being good.
Oof, that's convicting. So how do we bridge that gap between the inner transformation and what people actually see in our lives?
The sermon gives some concrete examples, which I found really helpful. It talks about the importance of being present in our relationships, truly listening to others, putting their needs before our own. It's about letting our actions speak louder than our words.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. It's not just about showing up at church. It's about showing up in life with that same servant's heart, that same genuine commitment.
Exactly. It's about integrating our faith into every aspect of our lives, letting it shape how we interact with the world around us. It's a holistic approach to being a Christian.
Man, we've covered so much.
So right.
The sermon's really pushing me
Yeah.
to be more intentional,
Okay.
more authentic.
Yeah.
No,
For sure.
in my faith.
It is definitely a call to action.
It is.
But it's also encouraging.
Yeah.
You know, like it gives you a path
Come
to
on,
to live a life that's actually meaningful.
So for anyone listening
Yeah.
who wants to take that next step,
Okay.
what are the key takeaways here?
Well, I'd say the first one is that focus on quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about checking boxes or going through the motions.
Right.
It's about showing up fully present,
Okay.
engaged, and giving our best.
Right. Being all in.
Yeah.
Not just the leftovers.
Exactly. And that goes right into the second takeaway.
Right.
That idea of servant leadership,
Mm-hmm.
leading with humility, putting the needs of others
Yeah.
before our own,
Mm.
and finding joy in serving.
And remember, that applies to all areas,
Yes, absolutely.
not just church.
Right. Our families, our coworkers,
Yeah.
even strangers.
So the last takeaway,
Yeah.
the one that's really sticking with me,
Okay.
is that focus on inner transformation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about letting our faith shape who we are at our core,
Yeah.
not just how we look.
Right. It's about walking the walk.
Yeah.
Not just talking the talk.
This has been a great deep dive.
It has.
And I have to say,
Yeah.
that final thought from the sermon,
Okay.
the one about someone writing your life story,
Mm-hmm.
it's really got me thinking.
It's a powerful image.
If someone were to write my story, what would they say?
Right.
Would they see a legacy of service, of love, of genuine faith?
That is a really good question to think about.
It is.
What kind of story are you writing with your life?
Right.
What do you want to leave behind?
This has been awesome.
It has.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about.
Yeah, me too.
Remember,
Mm-hmm.
true faith isn't passive.
Right.
It's a journey
Yeah.
of growth, of service,
Absolutely.
and of becoming more like Christ
Yeah.
every single day.
Love that.
So until next time, keep diving deep.